There we go.
For people to get the announcement. Are you putting it on Mighty or?
My God, what are we going to talk
You're gonna
about
need
tonight?
this.
Kind of covered everything last night.
I know. We fixed the world last night.
We
Is
haven't
it
been
wide?
banned from, the world yet. But
We fixed the world last night. So what could people possibly want to ask?
Now we're going to break the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Break it
how do
down.
we make it? Yeah.
break it down and start all over.
There you are. Oh. Yes, I'm very relaxed.
Yeah,
So,
I'm telling you, this has been a good day.
it's been a great day.
it's a full day.
It's been a full day. It's been a fun day. I wish I could have joined you at the range, but it's okay. Next
Me
time.
too. So we know you were
I
intimidated.
got to show Father Chris that I
Yeah.
could still shoot the hair off the fly's ass.
There you go.
I did,
I do need to get to the range. It's been a while since I've shot.
It was a good spot.
I did manage to hit the central body mass from 75 feet. I'll have
Right.
Very good.
with a pistol.
Yeah,
the 45?
it kills.
Yeah.
Yeah, he liked
Now
that
the
45.
hand cannon.
Love the 45.
The hand cannon. Now that would have been painful. The 50 caliber
The Desert Eagle.
Desert Eagle.
I would love to.
They
We had a friend that had one of
That's a
those.
stinger. That is a
It
stinger.
hurt.
Because if I lived here, I'd have one.
Would you?
Yeah. To walk around with, it's like statement.
All you can do is like kill boar with it or something. What else
That's
can you-
enormous. Yeah. You can shoot. Yeah.
It is
that's
very
right.
bulky and very.
But I mean, I'll tell you right
intimidating.
now, if I was walking in the North Pacific and a grizzly came up on me, I'd want to have that on my
That's
hip.
about what you would need.
That's what
for
you need.
Taking down with a handgun.
I'm telling you.
Did I tell you the blunderbuss story?
I don't think
No,
so.
but I want to shoot one.
Right. So in Thames Valley Police, they've probably stopped it now because But if you pass the firearms course in Thames Valley Police, they had a blunderbuster, like an antique blunderbuster,
Yeah.
That's
elephant gun,
outstanding.
and you were allowed to shoot the blunderbuster twice.
Oh,
That's cool.
The bullets are like that,
yeah.
right? And so you're allowed to shoot it twice. Not many people fired it a second time, but it was deployed once.
So what is the caliber of that?
I don't even know.
The
We'll look
caliber
it
of a
up.
blunderbuss.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's basically an HS cartridge.
So what is that? What would that be
Yeah,
like?
it's like a baton round size, except it's that the bullet is that long.
Can't even
It's
imagine.
got the wadding and everything in it too. I've
They're
seen
shooting
the
a
ones.
missile.
I've seen
Yeah.
the ones where they pack it and throw like everything with the kitchen sink in the barrel and fire.
So what
it.
about like a? I mean, you're military, so you would probably know this.
Maybe.
Like a rocket launcher. What's that like shooting at?
The rocket launchers that we used in the military was called an AT-4, and there's hardly any.
Because they
Well,
you
yeah,
launch
back-
them and then they fire after.
They fire out, but there's a back blast.
I see.
So that's one of the commands you got to do
Oh,
right
it's-
before you fire it.
You can't be stood
You'll
behind
you'll
it.
you'll say
Yeah.
safety off, back blast area clear. You
Yeah.
actually look, and then you push the button, and it fires off. It's just kind of like something trying to jump off your shoulder. You just have to have it. It's not a lot of
Okay, so
physics.
it's really not that
It's not
bad.
an explosion because it's not contained.
Right, because you have that back pressure
Right.
that goes behind you.
I
You
gotcha.
definitely don't want to be
The,
standing
the
behind
explosion is within the rocket,
And you
not
don't
within the
want
chamber.
to like fire it the wrong way either.
one. Definitely not. Well, I mean, they've got the AT-4s we shot have big yellow arrows on the
This way.
thing saying this way.
That's right.
That
This
makes
way.
sense.
Yeah, the American ones do.
Right. Now, shorter fire rockets, the RPGs they fire now, I'm not real familiar with. But
Would it-
I was in the 90s.
Would it make sense to change these to light?
White, maybe. How about that?
There
Oh,
we
yeah.
go.
Is that better?
Better.
So
But
how
so
is
but the blunderbuster was deployed. So they had. This sounds like a joke. It's not. It's true. There was my friend who told me he was the policeman involved. Right. He's on the front desk when policemen used to be on the front desk, and he answers the phone, and someone says, "No, the other way around. A clown walks into the station." I'm sure I've not told you this. A clown-
I don't recognize this.
I don't
story.
like clowns, man.
No, so a clown walks into
No.
the police station. It sounds like a joke, but it's true. And the clown says to my mate, AD, behind the counter, a lion's escaped from the circus. And AD's like, piss
Yeah.
off. Because this is in Oxfordshire. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Piss off. You're like, time waster. Then he gets a phone call. And a bloke says, I've just gone to my garage to the chest freezer, and there's a lion on top of it. And AD goes, shit.
Yeah, I took shit too.
Right?
Probably the homeowner did too.
So he calls the police.
There's a line in my garage.
So he calls the armed response, right? And I'm going back to like the early 80s.
Right.
So it wasn't what it is now. Because policemen are not armed in Britain. And even if you were, what, you're going to take a lion on? Even with the Desert Eagle, nah. So
454 maybe.
yeah.
Rifle.
So
You have to have a good aim, maybe.
So
Yeah.
the firearms officer who's deployed, and I know he was retired when I joined, but he was the guy. He came with a blunderbuster because if you're going to shoot it, it's going to at least knock it over, right? If
Yeah.
it goes for someone, if you
Good
hit it with a
Lord.
blunderbuster, it's going to go backwards.
Yeah.
So you picture the scene. My mate, the copper, with the armed policeman, and the clown was also the lion tamer. So you've got a clown, a lion on a chest freezer, a clown talking to the lion, a bloke with a blunderbuster stood behind it. like
God.
it's like a joke.
It is.
So anyway, the clown got the lion back into the cage, and that was that.
The clown did.
That's crazy.
So it was deployed but not used.
That's funny.
You know, the things you see and deal with in police work is just, I mean, I could sit down and write a novel. I've probably forgotten more than,
I know.
it's just, the comedy, the human comedy is just, you know, one call could be hair-raising and absolutely horrible, and then you have to turn and go to the next call and you're laughing your butt off.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to
Are we
day
in?
2 of Vestiges After Dark in the Dark. It's kind of a
Good evening, all.
informal special to hold you over until we get the actual show back on track here at the new location. So I hope everyone is doing well tonight.
Hello.
Do we have people in there right now?
A couple.
We have full bellies and full grams.
Yeah.
We went. We took Father Chris down to north of the perimeter for some really nice meat. Some of the best beef you can get in
Absolutely
That
amazing.
fillet tonight was
And the lamb was
outstanding.
great too.
the lamb was
Oh, the
out
lamb
of
was
this
really
world.
good.
Sometimes that
It
is
was
just
rare.
spot on. Very rare and not a hint of gaminess. It was just perfect.
It was bang on.
It really was. And I ate about 2 bulbs of garlic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you don't get COVID.
I'm telling you.
There's something to that.
I know what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Also keeps the vampires away.
I need that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keeping the vampires away.
Well,
yeah.
because the eclectic find me, and sometimes they cause me trouble.
Well, and we do live, and you do live in Hawkins, so you never know what
You
might
never
come.
know.
You never know what.
And
might
I am
come.
a creature of the night, because I mean, I'm a
yeah.
night owl. I mean, I am.
Yeah.
So
Me
I
too.
don't know when you sleep.
well, when I can. is
Yeah,
the
we
answer to
took
that.
Father Chris to the Douglasville Police Department, which is Hawkinsville PD
It's where
and
they
Stranger
film
Things.
Stranger Things.
Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
Didn't find the exact entrance, but got a
We got
picture
the
of
building.
front of it. Yeah.
So I've got a picture.
You're in the eastern. So you went from the western Hollywood to the eastern Hollywood.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they film all
I
that
know.
stuff
I
out
know
here.
which one I prefer.
Oh, I know you like it here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Us too.
yeah, there's less dirt on the streets.
Well,
Oh
yes,
gosh.
that is true. There is, in more ways than one.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
I did mean litter in the case of what I was saying.
Well, you're talking about desert,
and also human.
but you have human dirt too.
Yeah.
And that can be a problem. You know, when people are, it's not good.
Or in the lift.
Or in the lift.
Uh,
Did that happen out there?
Yeah, I went to get in the. I've been at Universal Studios, and the station is like you go over a bridge, and it's we were knackered, right? I thought we'll get the lift down.
yeah.
So
Welcome to
nicer.
I've seen that in if the been to some pretty bad spots around Atlanta looking for bad guys.
Yeah,
and
I mean, every city has them, but it's just LA.
Oh, of course.
depravity everywhere. But
LA's gotten really
that's pretty
bad.
bad.
LA's encouraged it.
And he does encourage it.
Yeah.
San Francisco too. San
I'm
Diego's
going
a little
there
bit
on
better. San Diego, you should have
next
gone to
week.
La Jolla and San Diego. That's the best part of California. It really is.
Well, we're gonna go to Vegas over the weekend, and we're gonna go to
And
San
Vegas
Fran.
is delightful. It really is one of my favorite places on the planet. It's so much the antithesis to this, but I'm a paradoxical kind of person. I mean, I know you haven't studied much astrology,
No.
but there's a thing in astrology called a grand cross. And essentially what it is when you have several aspects in opposition at different points, it creates a cross configuration in the chart. And it's not a good thing. You know, cross in Christianity, a good thing. In astrology, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it
A
creates...
cross isn't a good thing anywhere apart from
Well,
Christianity.
that's true.
Yeah.
But it creates a dichotomy in your life. And it creates all sorts of internal conflicts that a person that has one will struggle with. And sometimes it manifests in ways where they've got sort of almost a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of relationship with themselves. And that is me. Because part of me would be in the casino every day playing baccarat, pai tiles, but I want to come home to this every night.
Yeah.
And you can't have both.
No.
Not without a Star Trek transporter or something like that, which doesn't quite yet exist, right? So,
Not that we know of.
not that we know of. So, and this doesn't exist out there.
No.
So, it's like I can be happy, but only partially,
Yeah.
because part of me that needs fulfillment is fulfilled in another way.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
when you're in one place, you miss the things
you miss
at
the other.
Yeah.
Yes. And so ideally, I guess I would need basically a home in both locations and just go back and forth a lot. But if I had to pick one, which I have,
Yeah.
I will take this over that.
So would I.
Only because
hands down.
But then I'm more this type.
I
Although
like
I'm
going
from
to
a
Vegas as a getaway,
Yeah.
and it's got its own feel. I wasn't sure if I'd like it the first time I went.
But you
actually,
do
it was-
like it, yeah.
It was pretty damn cool.
It's cool.
Pretty
Well,
damn cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
Monte Cristo every night would be fun.
Well, Monte Cristo, I would
Yeah.
have a tent set up in the back storage room, and when they come back for new bottle of liquor, I'd be like, I got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm from a big city. Although, I mean, a bit like you, I'm from the edge of Manchester.
There's a heathy
So,
cliff.
Oh, there he is.
so I'm from Cheshire, which is South Manchester, but
You want to come out?
you're close enough to be in the city, and you're part of Greater Manchester, but also your country too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the sweet spot for me, that. So,
All Atlanta needs to do is legalize gambling, and I'll be all set.
We've been trying for
so
years.
is gambling
That'll
not...
never happen. See, now that's the dark side of conservatives. So we were talking
Yeah.
about conservatives,
Because they're not libertarians.
they control different things,
Yeah,
right?
that's right, yeah.
So it's like, for me, as far as like gambling,
Yeah.
I'm very liberal.
Yeah.
I'm like, make it all available, Okay, so there's social consequences. It's about personal responsibility.
Yeah.
Conservatives think they need to control that.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. And
Well-
that's the libertarian
Well,
side.
that's where conservatives and liberals meet round the back, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of liberal tendency in
Yeah.
in libertarianism.
Yeah.
I mean, just the idea of, the big issue right now, pro-choice, right? I mean, pro-choice is libertarians are pro-choice only not because they believe in abortion,
No.
but because they believe that the government has no
Government
say in a
needs
person's
to mind
life.
their own damn business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about mind your own business. So the problem I have with conservatives and liberals is that they both want to
They're
control you in
authoritarian.
different parts of your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, stay the fuck out of our lives.
Yeah. I mean, what makes me, because I'm a libertarian. But
Well, you're in
what,
good company.
but what gives me
Everybody here is a libertarian.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're, even Heathcliff is a libertarian.
all
Heathcliff
cats
is
are
a definite.
libertarian.
They-
There's no
all
cat
cats-
that's not a
Yeah.
libertarian.
all
Yeah,
cats
they
are
don't
libertarian.
have political divide. The cat community is all libertarian.
They're
Yeah.
all libertarian. So yeah, but I have conservative tendencies on those things because philosophically you can ask the question. This is particularly so with euthanasia. Who owns your life? Now, an absolute libertarian, an atheistic libertarian, would I think rightly say, if I don't own my own life, what do I own?
Right.
Yeah, that's a very libertarian point of view.
Right.
But the Christian says, no, you don't own your own body. God does. And that's why euthanasia is unacceptable in Christianity, because you're actually killing someone else's property. You don't belong to yourself. Now that is a real friction point.
It is,
between
because
my
the other
libertarian,
si- because ideologically there's another side to that. When your dog or your cat is suffering miserably, it's cruel to keep them alive.
Yeah.
But yet, if grandma's doing the same thing, she needs to stick it out. There's that side too.
yeah, but then
And-
that's
I'll be honest. I'm
There
going to
is
be
a
completely honest.
difference, you know.
If I had terminal cancer and medication wasn't working anymore, I think a bullet to my head would start looking really good. And I get it. I understand.
I do understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Because
but the Christian.
I had 3 things in my life that have happened where I realized in those 3 times that the human body is capable of producing more pain than you can even possibly imagine. When you're healthy, you don't even think about it. But the body can produce pain like it is excruciating.
that you can't ignore.
Things that are not even major things.
Yeah.
Bursitis, which
Yeah.
is basically an inflammation of the bursa. There's this little
Yeah.
piece of tissue that's right above your elbow, called the bursa, that when it becomes inflamed, it feels like you would want someone to amputate your arm just to get rid of the pain.
Right.
It's that bad. And I never realized that pain could ever exist until it happened. And I mean, I remember one time they thought I had a disc fixation, which is something only kids get. The doctor wasn't very experienced, and I'm like, I have this arm pain. I don't know what the hell's going on. I overextended, it created inflammation, and it caused bursitis. Now the specialist was able to diagnose it correctly, and you know all it needed? 2 doses of 800 milligrams of ibuprofen at
I was
one
going to
way.
say, yeah.
And anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
That's all it needed. But and resting it. But not this doctor. He's like, no, we got to reset it.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like doing
Making
this
it
number,
worse.
and I nearly
A lot
passed out
worse.
from the pain. And I'll tell you right now, if cancer, which I've never had, thank God, and I hope I never experience it, is anything like that, yes.
I see it.
Euthanasia might be something I'd consider at that point.
Well, I think it's something that might be desirable at that
Yes.
point.
Whether or not it's morally right is another question.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't understand.
yeah.
I'm saying that because the other thing, and this really is a kind of side of the faith that is very difficult to speak about, is to say we actually do see meaning in suffering.
Well, there's that too.
In a way that, you know, an atheist, suffering is just like, well, give me the pill, right?
Right.
You know, why do Christians fast? We don't do it in a kind of, we do it religiously, but not in the way of like Eid or, you know, of like Muslims who have a set period of time. Everyone knows what's going on. For the Christian, we don't tell people when we're fasting. Like the whole point is it's an internal
experience.
Yeah, and so and what could be more an internal experience than suffering? Suffering pain. So I'm not saying I don't understand.
I get what you're saying. I think for me, and I agree with you, I think for me, the answer to that is found in the extent that it goes. Because we can compare...
How about being nailed on a cross?
Well, true, but you can also argue it was a one-day affair.
I get that.
He wasn't being tortured for 3 months with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know necessarily if that would have even been within the will of God to do.
Yeah.
It was, even he died in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Where a crucifixion could take a couple
3
days.
days.
3
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
So there was mercy there too,
Yeah.
even for Jesus.
Well, and actually, when they came to break his legs, that was an act of mercy.
It was an act of mercy.
Right. Not this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fine line. I don't know if there's a clear answer to it.
Listen, I'm all for analgesia that may speed up death.
Okay.
You know, we all know that people who are suffering pain with cancer,
Yeah.
they get pumped full of morphine to deal with the pain.
Yes.
And that morphine.
And as
does-
long as you can manage it with medication, I'm all. Yeah.
And we
Why
acknowledge
not?
that morphine expedites their death.
It does.
But that's not the same thing as euthanasia.
It is not. It is not. And then there's a difference between euthanasia and right to die.
Yeah.
I mean, euthanasia typically implies that someone else makes the decision, where right to die is you're saying that you're terminal, there's no quality of life left. Do you want to go down this dark road of several months of excruciating suffering, or
Well, euthanasia is drawing
do you
the line.
want to opt out?
It's the line between suicide and someone helping you.
Correct.
That's the difference, and that's where I think the moral case is even stronger to say no to euthanasia, because you're also causing somebody else to bring about
Pay
your
particular
yeah.
attention when you go into the co-working room at the museum.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the most,
You will feel
but it's not dark.
some No,
It's not
but
dark.
it's
Heavy.
It's heavy.
Heavy. Thank you.
It's heavy.
It's heavy.
Because I don't think those people wanted to have to make that decision,
No.
but their bodies were failing. They were done, and they had had enough.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing, and I
It
do
is.
believe that God's mercy can transcend those decisions. I do.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like a person where, oh, I'm depressed, there's nothing to live for, let me go blow my head off. It's different than that kind of suicide. It's not, when you're terminal, and
No, if you're going to die anyway, you're dying anyway.
it's different. I
I
think
get
that
that.
is different from a culpability point of view, because it's not like it's just depression that you can come out of. Anyone can come out of depression.
But like in Belgium, they have euthanasia for depression,
I know, and I don't agree with that.
including once an 8-year-old boy.
I'm tolerant. I don't agree with that.
It's
I'm-
murder.
I can't
That's
even-
murder. I
can't
am
even fathom
tolerant. I am tolerant of terminal illness, right to die circumstances. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm tolerant of the decision because I get it. I get it as a human being.
I think we can all understand it.
But I do not understand, and I do not tolerate, I'm depressed, I'm going to end it all. Because there's always a way that depression
because-
always ends.
Well, the issue, and there is a difference. The difference with suicide of a healthy, otherwise healthy person, is that they are. I mean, and by the way, I don't think anybody in their right mind actually does that. Because it's fundamentally irrational, right?
Well, I think
like
it's
the
demonic,
survival
personally.
instinct is so strong that if somebody tried to suffocate you, you would fight like Hercules.
course.
So
To violate that takes a tremendous amount of. Well, there has to be something really wrong.
yeah.
And
So-
I think it's demonic.
So I think it is too,
Yeah.
and ultimately it is a rejection of God,
It is.
because what you're saying is, I am not worthy to be loved,
Yeah.
and look, I'm not beating people when they're down, but ultimately that's saying God can't love me, which is an act of absolute hubris,
Yeah.
because what you're saying is, I know that God can't love me, which is the same as saying I know God.
Yeah.
And that you don't.
You can't. You do
Can't,
not.
and you won't even in the next life.
It's true. I think people think that when they
Or
die,
next.
there's
Or
this
next.
misconception that suddenly, we're
All
just
will
like,
be
we know
revealed.
everything. Everything's revealed. And it's not like that.
No.
And even the mediums, who are not necessarily Christian in any form or fashion, will agree when
Although
I
many
say
are.
that many are,
Yeah.
but even those that aren't, they're all in agreement that it isn't like death all of a sudden opens the doors and everything makes sense. If you die in a state of confusion, that confusion will continue.
Yeah.
Right.
The clarity comes only from trust in God, and then that builds, that relationship continues after death, and it continues to grow after
It gets
death.
refined. Yeah.
It gets refined, and I would even argue, is infinitely improving
Yes.
for all eternity.
And can only get better.
It only gets better, and
Yeah.
I think that's the entire point of heaven, is that essentially from a scientific vantage point, which there is no basis for this in science except for maybe evolution, is entropy, the opposite of entropy.
Yeah.
Everything in life is entropy, but where does evolution come from? This is why I really have a problem with creationism, because as a philosophy, not as a doctrine, because I do believe God created things.
Of course.
And I don't agree with is that it's in opposition to evolution, because I think God created through evolution.
It's fundamentally not.
Right.
in any way opposed to it.
It's not opposed.
No.
In fact, it proves God, evolution, because in an entropic universe, evolution should not exist.
Well, why on earth would a Christian not say to the scientist, "Yeah, look, you know better than anybody."
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like
they
it's
should
like,
know.
Why would you say, "Oh no, it's not what you think"? Like,
Why would you? Entropy is defined specifically by, in the most simplistic of ways,
Yeah.
as things going from a state of order to increasing states of disorder.
Yeah.
Okay? How does evolution fit in a universe that does that? It's the complete opposition. That is God.
Yeah.
That is creation.
Evolution
Of course,
revolutionizes the species.
I mean, the fact that we're getting better, why should we get better?
Yeah.
Why should we become more improved,
Yeah.
smarter, live longer?
No, and that's why, I mean, that gets coined intelligent design, right?
Yeah, because I think,
Which is where I am, really, I think. I mean, I know it's used by groups of people that I'm not associated with, but
but the correct term is that.
I think it is. Yeah.
Because it is intelligently organized.
Yeah, by the highest intelligence.
When you look
But
at...
that goes back to Aquinas, because that's basically one of the proofs of the existence of God, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you take anything that you acknowledge, existence, movement, anything you want to say, this scientifically exists. You go back and back. What caused that? What caused that? What caused that? God. You know, and so if we think about the intellect, there has to be one perfect intellect, you know, and that is God. Same with motion, you know, who is the prime mover? Who is the prime intellect? Who is the prime lover? Who is the prime creator?
One of
You
those
got
Beatles?
I don't know what it was. It got me good.
I got smashed on my walk to Villarica today by one of those.
Oh, yeah, they're big.
Yeah.
They're all over.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
can't
he
go
nearly
in
knocked
my
me
ear,
over.
buddy.
They're
nearly
huge.
took my head off.
Some of them are like that big.
Yeah.
But no, I think I would even say, Father, that maybe intellect is too insignificant a word.
I've reduced it.
Yeah, I think intellect, honestly, is just a shadow of what God is.
Well,
We
it's
get a
ontology,
taste of-
right? It's being.
Yes.
It's being itself.
Yes.
Great, yeah.
It's not. It's intellect. It's everything.
It's everything,
You know,
and intellect's just
yeah.
one expression
Yeah.
that we get to taste as being in the image of God.
Yeah.
But it's so far beyond, I don't think we can possibly understand, and that's what I think Scripture means when who knows the mind of God, and who's been His counselor. I think that's what it's actually saying, is that we can't even conceive those things because that's a reality that is so far and beyond us that no wonder science can't get it. Science is only as good as the model in which it exists,
Right.
and God's beyond the model.
Well,
So how could the model ever describe it?
It's basically Job.
Yes.
Were you there when I put the stars in their course? You know, so that's the ultimate rail against God, is that God says, "And who are you to judge me?"
You're right.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You're in. We're all in the model, and even science is organized according to the model.
Yeah. So through that lens, going back to what we were talking about with suicide, it's like saying you're putting a limit on God.
Yeah.
That is ultimately incorrect.
Well, somebody asked me, Brandon again, I think, on the Nicolay Network, asked me about, I had a relative that committed suicide. Again, long-term illness, progressively degenerative illness, a rare one, I forget the name of it, but it's one of those neurological degenerative illnesses. Mm-hmm. He held out for a long time, and then couldn't take it anymore, and ended it. And he wanted to know what happened to his soul. And I said, well, the fact of the matter is, Scripture is only a guide to warning us of the risks.
Yeah.
But only God knows the fate of souls.
Well,
And I believe His mercy is truly far and beyond what we
We can't
well,
even comprehend it.
another way of looking at that would be to say, would you have compassion on your relative?
Of course, yeah.
Right. And you think you're more compassionate than God?
Yeah, right.
So, I think that is pretty much the way to go.
It's the only way to answer it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know, and we know
But
the risks.
we don't want to.
But you don't want to be permissive.
No.
And say, well, just kill yourself because it doesn't matter, God will look out for it.
Yeah. Then we're all Branch Davidians.
Yeah, right.
Lord.
So.
Yeah.
And you've got the space for it.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, people. I mean, if they thought we had a cult before, now they're really going to say,
Hey, man, feed into it, baby.
Yeah. Let's own it. We'll own it.
Get that FBI file going.
Come to the compound.
Right. We have cookies.
Skyclad only.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
Skyclad and Kool-Aid.
So
Yeah.
I do think it's right that both
And
the
blue
church,
jumpsuits.
in this case, I think it's right that both the church and the state, I think there is a role for government in this, albeit limited, because I think all government should be limited. But there is a role for saying, like, the but has to be huge. You know, it has to be. In other words, you have to place such a high value on life because God clearly places, everything revealed to us shows us that there's a huge value on life. But we have to say, you have to choose life. You have to choose it. If people don't choose it, we believe in compassion.
Yeah.
But the church declares people to be saints.
Yeah.
It doesn't make people saints. It says, we believe this person has been made a saint by
There's
God
been
in heaven.
evidence to suggest
Yeah.
that this is what this happened.
But the church never declares the damned.
No.
And doesn't have the
It
authority
just declares the existence of hell, but doesn't say anyone's there.
to. No. Although I do believe people are there.
Oh, and I do.
God doesn't put us there, though. We put ourselves there.
Correct.
Correct.
And I think it's the willful choice. It's the I would say if you ask my personal theological opinion on it, I would say that hell is populated. To use I actually don't believe hell is a location. I consider it a state, a condition. But let's just use vernacular for simplicity's sake. Hell is populated by those that have committed the sin against the Holy Spirit, which is to deny its grace.
Yeah.
And that's it. By saying, you can save me, I don't want it.
Well, so, I mean, a description
That's simple.
I remember from Fulton Sheen is a really useful one, which is to say, hell is eternal, the eternal inability for us to forgive ourselves for having rejected divine love. In other words,
That's
cannot
a perfect way to
forgive,
put it.
which is why it completely bookends the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And including when we trespass against ourselves. You know,
People don't think about that
We
one.
trespass against ourselves more than anybody else.
Yeah,
will.
that's right.
Well, we're usually harder on ourselves.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yet, at the same time, the ego only looks out for itself. So it's a dichotomy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're selfish on one level, and then we're self-hating on the other.
Which is why, I mean, and this is where it all meets together. Like, so I mentioned fasting before. We don't fast because we think by fasting we go to heaven. We don't think that by fasting we become holier because we're hungry.
Right.
Right? But it's all part of that practice of understanding our total dependence on God.
Yes.
And so, which is hard to do when you, like tonight, when we've got a very content full belly, you know, and which is a great thing too. We have feast as well as fast.
Of course.
And so we feast, and that's a great thing, and we love it.
And I would fast more if I wasn't hypoglycemic.
Oh, well, to fast is actually negligent if you're hyperglycemic.
Yeah, it is.
See, the interesting thing about fasting, whether it's religious or medical, I think there's kind of a metaphysical thing there. So obviously, I've been studying it.
Yeah.
The longer you fast, once you get past that 36-hour mark or so, you start to go into autophagy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the body absorbing and using all of your damaged cells, all your old cells, all the things the body doesn't need. So you can actually start to heal yourself, which I think is interesting if you twist it into a religious
Well, it also has.
It's
an
why when you're
ethereal
very
effect
sick,
on
you don't eat.
Right. Now, I've gone 24 to 26 hours.
Without any solids.
Just liquids. But when I do eat, I eat quite a bit. But it has. I do the intermittent fasting, not so much for
How do you
religious
keep your
things.
blood sugar high when you do that? What do you use?
Electrolytes.
Just
And
electrolytes?
Electrolytes. I will have coffee, the bulletproof coffee. Some might consider that a cheat, but you don't want to see me when I've been
Without
fasting
coffee
too long.
right now.
But I find it interesting that to deprive the body of that nutrition, the longer you go, your body starts to heal itself.
Yes.
I think that's interesting because you'll be hungry for about the first 18 to 24 hours, and then you'll get a burst of energy
Yeah.
for about the next 6 to 8.
I mean, I've fasted for
And
least that length
and
of
I'm
time.
doing it because of the diet. And I will say the diet I'm doing, which is about 90% carnivore, I do intermittent fasting. So I go 18. I tried the last couple of days, obviously notwithstanding, but I'll go at least 18 hours in between eating, and I'll have like a 6-hour window. And I'm eating heavily on the meats, proteins, fats.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of inflammation, a lot of damage to my body.
Mhm.
I was on all kinds of narcotics. I've got a spinal stimulator. I haven't used it. The pain's gotten better. My body composition is changing. I have more clarity.
Well, and there's so many stories of this. Like, I mean, Michaela Peterson, right? You know,
just through diet.
Yeah.
And intermittent fasting. So
I
find
think people underestimate the value of protein.
Oh,
And
without a doubt.
animal protein.
Oh, I
Without a
think
doubt.
it's coming
Vegetable
back.
protein is not
When
the
I
same
go on a
thing.
long fast
Everyone
and
knows
then
it's
have
not.
a fatty steak or I'm heavy on the beef and lamb.
Yeah.
When I eat that, I get a surge of energy. Once that protein hits my body, it's just like, okay, I'm ready to go knock down a
Whereas
house.
if you do the same on carbs,
You
don't-
feel great for about 20 minutes,
and then
you're,
And then
they're
you feel-
drooling in your chair, passed out.
Yeah. Because
So-
what it does is it spikes your blood sugar and then
Right.
it crashes.
well, if I'd have eaten,
Like sugar,
if I'd have eaten what I ate of meat tonight at that Brazilian place,
Yeah, yeah.
if I'd have eaten potato
Yeah, we'd be.
to that quantity, well,
you'd be
number one,
asleep at the
I wouldn't
car.
be able to.
Right.
But secondly, yeah, I'd be
You'd be
asleep in this
suffering.
chair.
Right.
You'd be suffering.
Yeah, I feel
You wake
awful.
up and you
Yeah.
wake up hungry.
Yeah, that's right.
But now,
yeah.
what did you think of the papaya? Did
Ah,
that do
it was
amazing
delicious.
things?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did.
It's crazy.
It
Yeah.
settles.
It helps you get the food through.
And the funny thing is, like in Australia, they're everywhere. So I'm gonna start eating.
Start eating
them.
papaya.
Yeah, that's
Papaya.
right.
But you know, I mean, it's a very easy thing to make. What you do is all you have to do, honestly, simple thing, okay? Just slice the skin off. Just take a knife and just do it slice, and then cut it in half, and just scoop out the black seed, and then chop it up into little cubes. Throw that into the blender, and then fill the blender with vanilla ice cream. Okay, and then just turn it on, and then put a spoon at the top to swirl it so it smooths and gets nice and smooth, and then just pour it into
It was
a glass,
delicious.
and then just put a little creme de cassis on top. That's it.
Don't
It's a
forget the
very
blueberries.
simple thing to
Don't forget
make.
the
Yeah,
blueberries.
I love blueberries.
Gotta have your antioxidants.
I do like blueberries.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was delicious.
but that will help with anytime you have a heavy meal.
Yeah.
That will fix it. And I even have papaya tablets because sometimes you can't always have papaya, and we don't always. It's not always in season.
Yeah.
So
Right.
sometimes you go to the store, it's there. Sometimes it's
Eat
not
your
there.
papaya, people.
Papaya is great.
Eat
for
your
that.
papaya.
You've opened my eyes because it's always on the shelves in Australia because it always grows on the top
Yeah,
end.
it's
Yeah.
indigenous down there,
Yeah, yeah.
so you're going to get it all the
Quite a
time.
nice little assortment of it on the salad bar tonight. On the
Mhm.
salad
Oh
bar,
yeah.
It's in season right now, so it's.
I saw it in
easy
the
to get.
supermarket. I went into Ingles supermarket today.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
a
Oh,
southern store.
you got the Ingles out. We
So,
gotta get you a
that's a-
Piggly Wiggly.
Now, Piggly Wiggly is more hardcore than Ingles.
Right.
Ingles is like a cross between Kroger and Piggly Wiggly, and then Publix is where like the
Publix is the Cadillac.
yeah, that's the Cadillac of grocery.
That's where the
store.
soccer moms go.
Oh yeah. That's in England. That's Waitrose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Yeah. But,
So-
but no, Ingles is good old southern grocery.
It was great.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so funny. If I'm in a different country, I always go in the supermarket.
It tells you a lot about the
Absolutely,
culture, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so too if there's a fish market but supermarkets, there's something about it that I don't know. I think it's happy memories for me going to the supermarket. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And life hack, I got a bottle of water.
I'll tell you, Ingles has crappy beef though. Don't buy beef there.
The beef didn't look good. I
No,
did
it's
look
not
at
that
it.
good.
Yeah,
It's never been good.
Yeah.
The Ingles.
We're spoiled for it in Australia, but they do have 2-pint bottles of water that are metal bottles with a screw top, and it's like $2.
Yeah.
If you bought it's more than that to buy them, that's my refillable jar.
Oh,
while
there
I'm
you
here,
go.
so,
See,
yeah.
there you go. Do we have questions tonight from the audience?
No,
Is it
just
a
comments
quiet
about what
audience?
y'all are talking about. Yeah.
Comments. If you guys have questions,
I'll have a look.
we'll take questions. I know that a lot come in, and I know that a lot in this house that need to be unpacked, and that's the library, which is where my office will be, and the chapel, which is where we'll resume our online liturgies. So I hope to have that done this week. Next week at the latest. That's if we run into some kind of other issue. But it's like this move has been a can of worms. It's like you do one thing and then it creates 3 more things that you didn't expect to do that you needed to do. And it slowed me down. The fact that the first floor of this house is completely, pretty much almost done,
It's amazing.
is a miracle.
Yeah.
But the lower floor is still needs some work. Hey, here's Heathcliff. See,
Hey, buddy.
here's the kitty.
You want to come out?
You want to come
I'll
up?
see if he'll come out.
Yeah, he's going to come out for you.
Call him out. Let's see.
That's not he looked at me like
He
I was
likes
crazy.
Father Chris. Let's see if he
Yeah,
does.
he does.
Push. Come on, Heathcliff. Come on.
Good boy.
Come sit with us.
Come on.
Come on, Heathcliff.
Come on. Give you some space. Come on.
Come on. Heathcliff.
Could someone call it Kitty?
Heathcliff.
Kitty. Push, push.
Good kitty. Good kitty. Come sit with us. It's a nice space here.
I don't know what y'all doing.
Come on. It's not that hot. It's humid, but it's not hot.
Come on, buddy.
It's just a trap. There's bugs out here for you to chase. Oh, he's got eyes on a moth. Go get him.
Go get it. Come on. Go get it. Go get those bugs. Go get those bugs. Come on, Heathcliff.
He is going back. Come on. Come on, buddy.
How do you stop a conversation on any topic? Get the cat involved.
Carry cat, yeah.
Paula wants to know what you're drinking tonight.
Tonight we have a 27-year-old Irish whiskey.
I've never had anything like it.
It's a
Redbreast.
sherry forward whiskey.
Redbreast 27.
Redbreast, 27-year-old. It's delightful. Honestly, I'm a very sherry whiskey kind of person. Good kitty. Go get him. Good kitty.
Boy.
Go get him. I figured once he sees all the bugs, he's going to want to
Yeah.
stay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ooh.
Your worst fears are complete. I've closed the door behind you.
I don't know
Aww.
about that, dude. He'll settle.
He's good. Come on. It's okay. You're not going to get stuck out here. He's like, oh no.
Why don't you bring him over to the car?
I'll bring him over here and let's see what he does.
Shall we open the door?
No, it's okay. I'm going to try.
I'd pick him up, but I don't want to freak him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he'd go too well for that.
Let's go sit over here in this nice
Look
comfy
at you,
spot.
big old ham.
Nice comfy spot. Sit down. No, sit down. Sit down.
Good boy.
Sit down.
He's like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm
It's
not
okay. Just be comfortable. Be cozy. This is where we're going to sit a lot in the fall when it gets cooler. Go get some bugs.
Joe's like Mickey.
If he
I don't
cries.
I don't want him to think he's.
No, he's okay. It's good for him to try this. He needs to get
With
used
all
to
of
it.
us out here, maybe he'll be a little more.
If he cries at the door, let him in.
Paula was experiencing a bit of hell with the heat in Texas last week.
Oh my God! Last week was murder for all of
I
us.
saw because I was keeping an eye on the weather here. It was like 37, 39 here. Sorry,
Right.
Celsius.
100 and,
Yeah.
110
Yeah.
Yes.
Fahrenheit.
Heat
And so
index. Yeah.
it's funny. I always used to use Fahrenheit, and then I lived in Australia for the last 10 years, and now I'm all over the place.
So in England, it's
Fahrenheit.
It's Fahrenheit.
Well, in England, it's Fahrenheit for hot and Celsius for cold. We like extremes, right?
That's not confusing.
We like extremes because we like to say, in summer, oh gosh, it was 86.
It's like driving on the left side of the road with a left-handed.
So whatever's the more extreme is what you like to
Yeah.
say.
So we say, oh, it was 80. It was in the 80s today, which is hot in England.
Yeah.
And whereas in winter, we want to say it was -10 last night.
But that must be
Yeah.
good though. You probably have a natural instinct for both.
Yeah.
Where in America we don't.
Mm-mm.
We don't have. We can do
And
the conversion.
in Australia, you might as well be talking Swahili if you say Fahrenheit. They
Yeah.
haven't got a clue.
They don't have a clue.
No.
You see, like we grow up on the Fahrenheit, so
Yeah.
it's like there's a.
It's a better scale.
When you say 50 degrees, everyone knows what that feels
Yeah,
like. When
yeah.
you say 60, you know what it feels like. If you say 5 degrees centigrade, they don't know what that
No.
feels
Like,
like.
what the hell?
They'd have to do the conversion and then say, oh, that's the Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. And I think that's true in Australia. They have to do that in reverse.
yeah, in reverse.
Yeah, we were a bit of a hybrid system in Britain. They tried to force metric. They tried to force metric on us, and it never really took.
Yeah.
So
It's okay, Heathy.
Like, I don't like this. You go, I'm out.
He said, bye.
it never really
And then
sat
guess
well.
what? He'll be back
Yeah,
here.
right,
Like,
like,
let me back out.
why are you out there?
Yeah.
That is a cat.
That's a cat. Yeah. That's the libertarian.
Yeah. Jennifer Lopez, good name. They had a heat wave in northern Illinois last week too, 100 degrees.
I think it hit the
Yeah,
whole country.
my parents are in West Central Illinois.
It was hot in LA on Monday, let me tell you.
I bet.
It was hot.
LA's weird because you'll have days where it's murderous and then at night it's freezing.
The funny thing is that Jennifer pointed out is that, because everyone on Facebook said, oh, I bet Chris was, melting, because, they all think because I'm from Manchester I can't take the heat. But actually, it was the Australian girls that were suffering the most.
Yeah.
So, they were very red. Mind you, I mean, they're Australian girls, but like a lot of Australians, they're of Northern European extraction, so
Oh, well, there you
we're
go.
not built for the heat.
Not
really.
built for it,
No.
yeah. I find humidity agreeable, although I do like dry heat. I don't think my body likes it as much as I do.
Yeah.
Like, I like the feeling of dry heat.
When
Like
it's
the
humid,
desert,
it feels
when I-
hotter.
When I lived in Vegas, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And when it's humid, it does feel hotter. But I find that my body doesn't like it. I will feel like I wear out quicker
Yeah.
in the dry heat.
I prefer the steam room to the sauna, which is pretty much the difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my body can take the sauna for longer than the steam room.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah. that makes sense.
Because I was in the steam room. The place I was staying in LA had a massive steam. I've never seen a steam room like it. You could have got 2 rugby teams in it. It's huge. And that's why I thought I've got to go and give that a go. Like I've never seen anything like it. And I was in there and I got chatting to this guy in there, and it was when that happens, it's like a bit of a no one wants to blink first.
Yeah.
So I stayed in longer than I should have.
I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah, that's
You
fine.
good?
Fine.
Well, even this thing, I mean, I
good heat, good
I
heat.
like this
Good
pool
Good sweat.
because this pool has the ability to heat and cool the water.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So we will sometimes go in at night,
Yeah.
and sometimes we'll get like
Well, you're going in winter,
you'll
right?
get, you can, and sometimes you'll get like 60 degrees here, and when you go in the pool at night, you come out, you're freezing, and 89 is actually kind of cool when it's cold. But you raise it to about 93, and it's like perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
But 93 in the sun is miserable.
Yeah.
So it's nice that I can actually cool the water.
No, we need water. Like, to feel as hot as we do in water as in air,
Yes.
water's got to be very hot.
Very hot. It does.
Yeah.
And so I like that pool because I can arrange it to the temperature that's agreeable to the conditions. So at night I put it up, and during the day I put it back down. Or actually, what I do is I put it up when we're in it at night, and then when we get out, I put it back down. So when we go back in it the next morning, it's cool again, and it's more comfortable to be in it in the sun.
Jennifer pointed out she likes papaya and guava juice. I love guava juice.
Guava.
Oh yeah.
Tracy
yeah.
doesn't. You don't like guava, right?
No, I do not.
I first had guava juice in Singapore on the way to Australia, and I had it because it looked an unusual colour. I thought, oh, well, I'll try that. So that's just my character. And I thought, this is delicious. What is this? I'd never heard of it.
Big Hawaiian thing. See,
Yeah.
when I was in Oahu, there's obviously a very prominent Asian culture there, and at the restaurant, we would.
That gas thing.
Is it? Oh, it's low.
How low can you go?
Yeah, I need this. I'm gonna go get you another one.
Stand by.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
Paul said, "Hey, handsome hunk." I think that was for me, but I'll let Heathcliff. So I'll let Heathcliff have that.
Look, y'all can split, so no one's hurt.
I'm just catching up with your. I'm not checking my text. I'm checking your comments.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Oh, thanks.
I'm trying to get on there. There you go. You on YouTube or?
We're on YouTube and Facebook, either one.
Oh, Paula laughed at my comment about the handsome hunk thing. No need to laugh.
We'll have Heathcliff put you
The
in
top
check.
hook off to this turn on.
Don't set your face
It's
on
easier.
fire.
Yeah, that one's easier.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, when I was in Oahu, there's a large Asian population there.
Yeah, right.
So the food kind of caters to it. And at the hotel, we were at the
Yes, Paula, I totally agree. She says guava tastes like armpit. I totally agree.
I can't agree. 'Cause I've
cannot-
never tasted an armpit.
Cannot
I
stand
have not
it.
tasted armpit either, but
She clarifies what I imagine armpit to taste like.
Yeah, yeah.
well, every morning,
Agreed.
we went down at the hotel. Every morning, we went down to
You've seen some stuff?
the restaurant for
I've
breakfast.
seen
Yeah.
some stuff.
And they're all getting their eggs and bacon and all these heavy American breakfast.
Jennifer
And I
says
went
I've
to
never
the
had
Asian
armpit.
section, and they
I
had
don't think I
a
ever have either, at
wonderful
least not on purpose.
traditional miso soup
Mm-hmm.
with the pickled vegetables
I love
and
pickled vegetables.
and a little cup of guava.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was delightful. I had that every morning.
And then off you go, and then you're ready for lunch.
And you know what? Because there's so much protein in the soy
Yeah.
that I felt great all day, and I did not feel heavy. I do not. They're gonna hate me for this. I do not understand the American breakfast. I don't get eggs and bacon.
I cannot eat
I
pancakes.
mean,
I can't get it.
I cannot eat
you
pancakes.
do know I'm from Illinois, right?
I know.
I mean,
it's just so
eggs,
heavy.
bacon,
now, eggs and bacon for
flapjacks.
lunch
Eggs-
is fine.
But also the bacon here is, and we had beautiful bacon tonight, of course. But bacon here is different from.
Well,
I
it
was
is.
going to say British bacon, but it's not. It's really Danish
It's very
bacon.
cured. It's,
Yeah.
You're used to
It's
uncured.
raw cured.
Yes, raw, naturally cured.
yeah.
We can get that here, but you pay for it.
Yeah, it's very hard to get in Australia because
Is it?
Australia they have the same cut of bacon as Britain, but they don't raw cure it. When you buy it, it looks like it. When I first saw it, I was like, it looks like ham.
Yes,
You know,
it does.
Whereas
There's
it's
a kitty.
literally raw.
Russian.
Kitty in the window.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, you see, he's like now he's feeling left out again.
He's in the other windowsill.
Russian bacon is like that, and I remember.
Why are you outside?
When I was out in San Diego, my uncle started. All the kids were out of the house, and he was living in by himself in this 3-bedroom home. So he decided he was going to take boarders in,
Yeah.
and there was a Russian doctor who was trying to get his license to practice here. Wonderful guy, could drink vodka like I never saw a man drink vodka. I mean, that man could put it down.
You've never seen anyone drink vodka like a Russian.
Oh
He
my
could
God.
drink a freaking bottle and still
Water.
beat you at chest in about 3 moves. I mean, the
Far
guy was
out.
crazy. You could not beat this
Yeah,
man
that's
at
a
chest.
measure of vodka for a Russian.
It pretty much is. Well, that's just the first drink.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's just to
mean,
wet the palate.
yeah, that's just to wet the palate. But no, he could beat you in almost every time in 10 moves in chess.
Right.
No matter what you did, he could always beat
It's a
you.
big game in
It's a big
Russia.
game in Russia. But the
Yeah.
guy was brilliant. And one day, I couldn't believe it. He had his friend over. And they came over, and he's like, you got the stuff? And it's like, yeah, I got the stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is
What's
the
the
stuff?
stuff?
He had a grocery bag of white Wonder Bread and raw Oscar Mayer bacon. And they just put the raw slices between the bread and they ate it. And I'm like, is that even safe to eat?
Yeah,
it's
it is.
not cooked.
I know.
He
but
goes,
it is.
oh, but it's cured.
cured, yeah.
And he's like, it's fine.
It's like thick prosciutto.
He's like, it's not as good as Russian bacon, but it will do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that was just a little too much for me.
I think you got to be brave.
I didn't try
I
it.
don't know if I'm that brave.
Yeah. But yeah, that was what they would eat.
But the good thing about raw cured bacon is you can wrap it around asparagus and
Yeah.
then bang it on a barbecue.
Yeah,
Bam! It's fantastic.
it is.
It sticks.
But yeah, he was funny. He was the kind of guy that would walk and you'd be walking down the street and he'd see a bush with berries on it. And he'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, these are really good. He'd pick them, start eating them. It's like, how do you even know these are safe? But he knew.
It's because they've got a tradition of it. Like
Yeah.
in Britain, mushrooms grow everywhere, right? Because it's damp. Okay, it's damp all the time. So mushrooms grow everywhere. No English people would dream of picking a mushroom and eating it. Germans come to
all the
Britain
time.
and they harvest mushrooms.
I have a friend who just, I think she actually gets sick once because she missed.
If you get it wrong, you
Identified.
can die.
That's the thing. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think I'll stick
Especially-
my shiitake at the supermarket. You know what I mean?
Well, there are a couple of varieties of fungi in England that will kill you.
Yeah,
And if you
everywhere.
eat them, there's nothing anyone can do for you.
Yeah, that's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like people freak out about Russian. At least it's Australia. At least it's anti-venom if you get bitten by a snake or a
Right.
spider.
But no anti-venom for
No, you're done.
mushroom.
You're done.
You're
It's just prayer.
I mean, it can go into liver failure
Yeah,
within 24 hours.
It's bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, moderators, for deleting and hiding
Yeah, I
those
did see those.
stupid bot messages.
What's going on? Russian messages?
Thirsty
Russian
girls.
sex
Oh,
messages.
boy.
This one's, you know, in sexual in nature. It's like, really? Find a hobby.
Anytime
have.
you have a big
They want you
channel,
to join theirs.
That's all right.
Here we go.
I kind
Here's
of see
another.
it as flattering. It's like, boy, you really see our channel as being
Yeah,
worth
yeah, we're
wasting
big
your
enough for
time
it.
on
Yeah.
to put your little spam on our channel? I mean, with our little tiny audience?
Somebody thinks they're being cute.
Yeah.
They're being stupid.
And also, our audience is largely female.
Largely. Like, when
So-
you look at the
All right, so what are you trying
demographic
to say there,
breakdown,
bud?
we have, I would say it's about 70-30. I would.
Jennifer has said something that I think is a true thing, and she said cilantro. So
I love cilantro.
I'll translate that.
Yeah.
That's coriander.
Coriander leaf, yeah.
Coriander,
Yeah.
but some people love it and some people can't stand it.
Well, you know why? Because some people have a genetic predisposition. It tastes like soap.
Well, you know what? Do you know why?
I've tried, to me,
That's
but I've
interesting.
I've been conquering this, and actually I had some in LA. I had it on with my taco.
Because it's on everything.
and I enjoyed it.
Well, you know why?
Interesting.
I haven't corroborated, but I read that ivory soap, when it was originally formulated, the one of the main compounds in it is the main compound that's in cilantro.
Isn't that interesting?
It's the like the bubbling soaping agent, the thing that makes it bubbly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And see, to me, cilantro tastes like a sharper parsley.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have
Paula's
parsley.
talking about the bots. She says, I guess the armpit got them excited.
I mean, there's something for everyone.
The armpit. See, you gotta be careful.
Fly your freak flag, but don't do it.
If someone thought of it, it exists.
That's funny.
What is that, Rule 34 on the internet? If someone's thought of it, it exists.
Yeah.
It's like the Ferengi rules of acquisition.
Oh my god.
But they're also upset.
I don't even know your name.
They're also upset that we make women wear clothes. You know.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a little Star Trek fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, most
Big
British
time.
people are, right?
Yeah.
They love the Next Generation.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was yeah. But I like DS9.
Oh, DS9 was fantastic.
You know, and I like Voyager. It wasn't my favourite one, but
I think you should check out
Strange New Worlds.
It's the newest
okay.
series. The new ones have been a little,
Yeah,
a little
it
rough. Picard isn't as good as the Next Generation
No.
was at all. Discovery was entertaining,
I
but it
watched
didn't
the
feel
first
like
two
Star Trek.
series, but
Agree.
Strange
Yes.
New Worlds
Yes.
is
okay.
spot on good.
We're loving
It's
Strange New
episodic.
Worlds.
It's not a story
I
arc.
mean, it's interesting that you and I like TNG because it's so non-libertarian.
Yeah.
It's like-
You know,
it's socialism and it's,
Yes.
and it's communism, yeah.
Yeah, you know, oh, we've done away with money. You know,
Who
or,
need it?
you know, it's like
Who
okay.
needs that dirty
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. Wouldn't
But then
that
again,
be,
if you live in a society
never
where
worked.
you have unlimited energy, you could
yeah.
probably pull off socialism in a safe way.
Well, it no longer is socialism.
That's true.
You know, so
Not in the
and I think that's
definition,
why
no.
I can break through it. You know, but
Because it's something different. They don't ever name what it is.
no, and what I love about TNG is they have episodes where they clearly act out different philosophies.
Oh yes, they do.
Yeah. So, and I like that, and you can.
There was
you can see it.
I mean, they did a lot of challenging episodes that were just subtle,
Yeah.
that dealt with issues that we deal with today, social dynamics and whatnot, and
Roles of women, all of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and they did it in a way that was neutral and non-offensive.
Yeah.
It wasn't in your face posturing.
No, and it wasn't overly moralising.
It wasn't.
It was more playing with the ideas than saying, and here is the right answer.
Yeah.
You know, because they often leave things in a sort of, what was the right thing to do? You know?
Well, but
and they don't really know.
The prime directive is very libertarian.
Yes, yes.
It's like, let societies develop as they see fit.
Which is actually very non-socialist.
It is.
Do not interfere.
Yeah.
So it's like economically, you could argue it was a type of socialism,
Yeah.
but ideologically, it wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
And the Ferengi are obviously brought into...
Well, that's capitalism at its worst.
Crony capitalism.
Crony capitalism. Yeah. And mafia, almost in
Yeah.
a way. Yeah, a little bit like that.
Mixed with absolute monarchy.
Yes.
Which I'm not a fan of.
No, and no.
Unless I'm the absolute monarch.
Well, I see capitalism. I see capitalism as the least of all evils
least
for
bad.
the current state of our technology.
Yeah.
Now, if we can get to unlimited energy,
Then it's not
then
needed.
capitalism won't make sense anymore.
No.
Because it would be just wasteful for wasteful sake.
Yeah.
But right now, while you still have scarcity, you need something that regulates it safely.
Well,
and the best capitalism, what it does is it's meritocracy at its core when it's handled properly. I mean, it's obviously going to be abused.
Well, that's because economics is... If people misunderstand economics, they think it's about money. It's not about money.
No, it's about
It's
managing
about,
scarcity.
it's about
and,
the use of scarce resources that have multiple uses.
yes.
So-
And doing that efficiently.
Yeah, so I could use gold for all of the power cables in my house.
Right.
It would be a really good conductor. It would, you know, and we do use them in phones, of course, and other things. But I could use gold for all of the power in my house. It wouldn't be a very good use of that resource.
Correct.
Because it's scarce. It's more scarce.
It's more scarce.
Than copper.
Yeah.
So you know, it's and that's how valuable.
Just because you
it is.
can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's about what's in my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say we had the technology to mine an asteroid that is made of solid gold.
Yeah.
At that point, then you have a resource of abundance
Yeah.
that can
No,
be
but
brought into the
you'll
equation.
have different factions killing each other, trying to get a hold of it.
Because it also
for,
has
for themselves.
because it has other uses.
Right.
The idea, at least ideologically in Star Trek, is that because of their unlimited energy, they've moved beyond the need to have to squander resources, and they're able to distribute it in a way that everyone has more than they need.
Wouldn't that be nice?
And we could get there with I think fusion.
Absolutely.
I think it's very possible. Out of
Well,
everything that
fusion's-
Star Trek did,
Fusion's the only way currently known that we could possibly get to it.
faster than light travel, transporters, I don't think those
Impossible.
are probably possible.
No.
Maybe something that can simulate it, but I mean, transporters probably never. Faster than light, maybe with some kind of warping of space and wormholes.
Well,
maybe.
we couldn't do it without travelling through time, though.
Well, in wormhole, you might be able to get beyond the time problem, time dilation. But that could maybe happen. But like the way they do it, where they're just like, you know, flying across the stars at
Yeah.
faster than light, that won't happen. You'd have to be able to harness a wormhole, create one, exit it
Sure.
where you want to be, and then be able to come back and be able to
Which
control
they do
that.
experiment in one of the Star Treks. Which one? My brain's in 3 different time zones at the moment. Yeah, but no, they do try that. They have a different way of travelling. It's one of the ones that involves, you know, the temporal time police. You know.
Oh, I know. I think I know what you're talking about. Well, that they showed up in several different versions.
Yeah.
It was in Voyager too.
It could have been in Voyager.
But I think the one thing from Star Trek that is the
It
most
was in Voyager because that's how they got home.
the transwarp corridors of the Borg.
Yes.
That's how they got home. Yeah.
Well, he just spouted that off like.
I watch it
Transport
every
corridor?
night.
True fan.
Yeah.
I am a true fan. I watch it every night. That's how I unwind. I put on Star Trek. I watch an episode a night, and I just pick one, and
Go for
sometimes
it.
it's a different
Yeah.
series, whatever. But I mean, that's how I sleep. I find Star Trek to be very relaxing.
Oh, it is. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's the engine noise that they
Yeah,
it's that-
yeah.
it's-
Hum,
yeah,
yeah.
the hum, because every starship has that noise.
Yeah.
You don't hear it unless you're paying attention to it,
Yeah.
but it's there. But no, I think the one piece of technology from Star Trek that I think we may even see in our lifetime is unlimited energy.
Oh, yeah.
I think I think we're very close to that. Now, what they're not able to answer yet is once you solve things like poverty and illness, how do you now deal with population?
Yeah.
Now you're going to need to be interstellar
Yeah.
because you're going to need other planets to colonize
Yeah.
to deal with it. So it makes sense.
Mhm.
Roddenberry, I think, was a visionary.
Of course.
I didn't like the man, but he's a visionary.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. I mean, and I think he was quite brilliant. I don't think he'd like the dystopian Star Treks they're making now,
No.
but he would have liked Strange New Worlds because that's not dystopian.
Okay.
Strange New Worlds is
I
is
always
Star Trek.
think just like everything seems to be dystopian. Maybe we're moving beyond that in more recent, not just Star Trek, outside of that, but it's so sad.
But
Like,
it's edgy. They like edgy.
yeah, but it's so boring.
I know.
But if you give a group of high school kids a kind of tell a story about the future, they're nearly all dystopian,
Yeah.
and that's really sad.
It's like there is no future.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
remember
oh,
getting into fights with people when I was a kid. Which sci-fi was better? Because I like them both.
Yeah.
Star Trek or Alien.
Oh,
Alien's
yeah.
very dystopian.
Oh yeah.
But it's very militaristic.
Yeah.
The spaceships are very industrial.
Yeah. They're in the military.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the corporations run it all,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which is very dystopian. Because, I mean, basically, people talk about America being a democracy. It's not anything like a democracy.
It's a republic.
I would argue it's not even a
Supposed to be.
republic. I would say it's a corporatocracy.
Well,
it's
it
become
is
that.
now.
I think the corporations
But
run
that's not what the Constitution
because they
describes.
pay the
No.
politicians to get, and they have the money to do it.
Well, it's all about lobbying.
So if you want to talk about,
I worked in the Senate, and you meet lobby groups who are in all the time, and people know about the oil lobby or the tobacco lobby, but they forget about other lobbies like the medical association.
Right.
They're a lobby and a union, and
One of the biggest
and they
but
all have their-
what is corporatocracy at its core? It's feudalism.
yeah.
Is all it is.
Yeah. Oh, we got.
Question. Oh, question.
Question. First, Laura's like, is that Father Chris?
Sure is.
It's me.
It's our new handy dandy hologram.
In the flesh, yeah, there you go.
Father Chris has moved in. He's not going back. We're not letting him.
So the question is, what are...
My internet can't handle Zoom, so you have to stay
That's
now.
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you are. So, Laura asks, what are their thoughts on Project Bluebeam?
That rings a bell, but I have to look it up.
I'm not familiar with
I'm
it.
not familiar
I don't
with
know what that
Bluebeam.
is.
I mean,
I don't think I know.
I've heard that.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but I don't know anything
I'm
about
gonna
it.
It
look it
doesn't
up
even
real
sound
quick.
familiar to me, but
I know Project Blue Book, but I don't know
maybe
Project
that's
Blue
what
Book.
I'm thinking of.
Project Blue Book was like the UFO disclosure. And all
All
that.
right, stand by. Well, hell, that doesn't help. Well, they're calling it a conspiracy theory.
About what?
Something having to do with NASA. All right, let's see here. Oh, the World Order conspiracy. Okay, hang on. I'll just read it.
Is it like flat Earth theory or
We'll
something?
educate everybody.
no, I don't think so.
Project Bluebeam conspiracy theory suggests NASA has secret plans to create a new world order. Well, I wouldn't say it was NASA.
No.
They're calling it a conspiracy theory about NASA's secret plans has gained momentum after a series of bizarre events. But is it complete nonsense?
Okay, so what are the events?
When a bizarre event was captured on film showing what appeared to be dark skyscrapers floating in the clouds above China, the world was puzzled, while scientists were quick to dismiss the occurrence as mirage. Not
I
all
remember
agreed.
this. I remember
I
that.
vaguely remember
something
this.
about that.
In the
Yeah.
days after the event, one particular conspiracy theory started to gather serious momentum. The belief the sighting was the result of a secret NASA mission known as Project Bluebeam. Canadian journalist and conspiracy theorist Sergei Manast first developed the theory in 1994.
Sergey, beautiful Canadian name.
Before public, I may have dressed it up a little bit. Before publishing his beliefs in a book titled Project Bluebeam. The theory suggests NASA and the United States are planning to create a new world order by using technologically simulated mind control to shape a global New Age religion. Mr. Manasse believed generating a global New Age religion was the only thing that would make a worldwide dictatorship possible. Well, I mean, he speculated
Why NASA, though? What does NASA have to do with
I don't know
this?
why now. I mean, NASA almost went bankrupt.
I mean, NASA doesn't strike me as having
He speculated
any
that
kind of
Project Bluebeam would be carried out in 4 different steps. Step 1, the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. Mr. Manasse believed that NASA would aim to discredit all existing religions through the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. Step 1 deals with the setup of earthquakes at certain precise locations of the planet, where supposedly new discoveries will suddenly explain the wrong meaning of all major religions' basic doctrines.
Okay.
It's starting to make I'm starting to make a little more sense now. I have kind of heard these. The theory suggests that by providing evidence to falsify the teachings of all major religions, people will be more likely to accept the New Age religion when it is formed.
That could only be done for people that... Like, how could you falsify Christianity?
I mean, any more than you could validate it, it's a faith thing.
But I just think that it's impossible to falsify. I mean, we believe it's a teaching handed down through the ages. So you'd have to question. You'd have to say, well, actually, St. Peter didn't really get killed because he was.
Well, let's say for a moment. We've discussed this esoterically.
I only got through step
I'm not
1,
talking
there's 30
now.
steps.
I'm not talking from a theological vantage point, but let's talk from a philosophical one. Okay, let's say Christianity was merely a constructed myth. Okay, that the events of the New Testament never happened historically. There's no historicity to it. Let's just argue that and say that all it illustrates is a myth, a mythos for dealing with the problems of evil and whatever. Does that invalidate the teaching?
No.
No.
I don't think we need the historicity of it
No.
to make it valid, because philosophically it has power based on the archetypes they represent, which speaks to our consciousness.
Which is to say that the story is enough.
Story is enough.
Which I think is true.
Yes.
I also think that it's factually true as well.
I do too.
But
I don't have any doubt
but
about
it
that. But
doesn't
even if
matter.
a person, it doesn't matter. If they don't believe it happened historically, it doesn't invalidate the value of the teaching.
No, if nobody on earth believes in God, God still is.
Exactly.
So, and sorry, that was only step 1, though.
That was only step 1.
All right, let's get to step 2.
Step 2, a gigantic space... Wait.
A Dyson sphere. Here we go.
A gigantic space with 3D holographic laser projections. Oh, this is getting good. Mr. Manasse said the second stage in creating the New World Order would be using a gigantic space show with 3D holographic images, lasers, and sounds to seduce people into believing in the new God. Is this maybe tied into where they think they're going to do a false flag alien invasion, maybe? I don't know.
It might be.
The show will consist of laser projection of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world, each receiving a different message according to predominating regional, national, religious faith. From the depths of space, astonished followers of the various creeds will witness their own returned Messiah in spectacularly convincing lifelike realness. Mr. Manasse said all of these depictions of the Messiah would then merge into one. This one God will in fact be the Antichrist, who will explain the various scriptures have been misunderstood, that the religions of all are responsible for turning brother against brother, nation against nation. Therefore, the world's religions must be abolished to make way for the golden age. And that's step 2.
I think this is an embellishment of just the secularization of our society.
Yeah.
It's just an embellishment of it. It's a fanciful way of describing what's going on. I don't think it has any... It's another myth.
This book was written in 1994. But it does, I mean, a lot of things kind of make sense now.
It's a modern mythos.
Right. So step 3, Telepathic two-way communication. And this is where things start to get real creepy. It is believed NASA will use low-frequency radio waves to telepathically communicate with humans in an attempt to shape their beliefs to match those taught by the New Age religion. Mr. Banas said the telepathic communication would be used as a form of mind control to trick people into thinking their God is delivering them messages directly. The message will be sent from a device that can deliver audible signals directly to an individual while they remain undetectable by anyone else. The microwave beam generated by the device is moderated at audio frequencies and can broadcast voices directly into the brain. Now that's pretty out there.
It's all kind of pseudoscience, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know how valid any of that is in terms of actuality, but I do think it speaks to some of the secularist concerns that people have. I do think, realistically, there is a movement, whether it be conscious or subconscious, to I guess, eliminate religion. Mm-hmm. I think that is definitely a motivation in the world today.
But ironically,
can you really eliminate religion?
They only do it by being religious. Like,
right.
Well,
woke is a massive religion.
Science has become a religion for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And we saw that with the masks and COVID-19.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cult-like.
It was ritual.
I mean, they're talking about putting people in FEMA camps for not getting the shot. These are the same people now who are screaming, "My body, my choice."
I mean, that's
so it's
like
really,
it or hate it. That's religion.
Yeah, it is.
That's the dark side of religion.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's using beliefs to control people's behavior, which is what religion has been misused for going all the way back, right? Any organized religion has been at risk for being misused this way.
Well, when you have men, meaning humans, run it, there's always going to be corruption.
Correct. And when you realize that, I have a certain power.
This power feels kind of good. I think I'm
the
going to
selling
have more
of
of
indulgences is a perfect example of that. I have the power to save you from purgatory.
Yeah.
So
if you pay me this,
pay me some money, and I'll make sure that you're taken care of.
Yeah.
That's an abuse of the power of religion. But they're doing that with science now. Now we don't people don't believe that God can save you, but this mask might be able to.
Yeah.
This vaccine might be able to. So it's the same mentality, because people are, Joseph Campbell said it best. We are wired to be religious.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how we're wired. So even if you get rid of religion...
Well, that's Chesterton as well. That if you destroy belief in Jesus Christ, people don't believe in nothing. They believe in anything. And that's why these things...
They'll latch onto something new. They'll cling to whatever's safe and comfortable.
Yeah. For that day.
Well, and generally, what will require the least of them.
Usually, because people want it easy as well. Yeah. And see, that's, I think, one of the things, you kind of touched on this earlier. I don't remember if we were on live or if we were talking privately, but you kind of touched on this during your trip here. Religion, people have fallen away, I think, because life's more comfortable today.
Yeah.
So when you're not struggling, you're not necessarily always looking for something outside of your reality.
Yeah.
Because if you're content, why look beyond your contentment?
It's hard to grow when you're
exactly. So think about Jesus' time. Okay, think about the time in which Jesus operated. It was the Jewish world had been completely decimated by the Babylonians and then the Romans.
Yeah.
Okay? So they went on for thousands of years dealing with this, okay? Really.
Yeah.
And oppression was all they knew.
Yeah.
And so it would have been a lot easier for them to say, we'll never have what we want until the Messiah comes. Mm. So let's look towards God who can bring us this Messiah. And so it was easier to be religious when you're struggling. But now, people think the world's so bad. The world's never been this good. It's never been this good. We are so comfortable. The average person can live a fairly decent life.
We're so comfortable we're having to make up
Problems. And now politics becomes this divisive point and all this
Right.
stuff. But the reality is we are very comfortable. We're very fortunate. We've been taken care of. But there's a price you pay for that.
Yeah.
You don't look beyond yourself when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's really why people have fallen away
Well,
from it.
and then therefore you don't look towards a future.
Correct.
And then you think, well, what's the point in living?
living in the
Well,
now.
that's it. Because, I mean, you're not going to live forever.
So it ends up, that's the death of God. It's Nietzsche again.
Yes.
Because we end up in this kind of post-God world where it's kind of meaningless.
Right.
And so they tried to find, but human beings need a reason to live.
Yeah.
And so we create reasons to live that might not be that great.
Yeah. And we live for things that are impermanent. You know, money, status, career. I mean, these things might be good for several decades. And you can live very well, but I mean, it will end.
Forever.
It will end.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do when that day comes? How is your career or your status going to save you? I don't care if you have $100 billion in the bank. How is that going to help you when you're dying?
Yeah.
And where does that money go when you're gone? It's not going with you.
No. By the way, that's always the ultimate answer to the kind of capitalist critics. To say, oh, it's always these people. Well, even if you've got the most selfish people on earth that want to hoard everything, they'll die. And that money will get redistributed somewhere, somehow. Yes, it might go to their children and blah, 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 but, you know, and then they spend it on things and that goes back into the system. So, you know, that's why it's the least bad system, because even the kind of extremes of hoarding end, because life ends.
And let's say even if science gets to a point where it cures major disease and we solve the problem of aging, where you can reverse the process and live indefinitely, you'll never be able to prevent accidents.
No.
You'll never be able to prevent murder.
No.
These things will still happen. So even if you can be theoretically immortal, you can still always be at risk for death.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that problem? And I think the mentality is, I don't need to worry about that. Because when you're 20 years old, you feel like you're going to live forever.
Yeah.
You feel like elderly years are so far away, why even think about it?
Yeah.
But then one day you wake up and you realize you're there.
Yeah.
And now what do you
Yeah,
do?
it happens.
And now you've wasted your whole life when you could have been developing a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And now it's too late to build
prepare
that
yourself
grace, to
for it.
prepare yourself for it. So what
Yeah.
do you do?
Well, they die distressed.
Exactly. And that's what causes unrested souls.
Yeah. And they call the priest in sometimes, and you go, well, I don't know what you want me to do for
I
you.
know, it's like, well, where were you like 30 years ago? I could have maybe helped you.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we do our best.
we do,
We have
but
the
I
rights,
mean,
you know, but
the rights of, extreme unction or whatever only go so far.
well, they're also
Well, it's-
predicated on a life dedicated to Christ.
Correct.
So this is now the culmination of your faith.
Yes, it's supposed to be about the
Yeah.
culmination. It's not like the last resort. Like,
No.
okay, you screwed up all this time, now
Well,
you got this. At
It's
least.
kind of the other side of the coin of the exorcism ministry. You know, you have people knocking on your door being like, fix me.
Right.
The other side of the coin is, I've lived my life, fix it.
Yeah.
I've lived my life without cultivating this relationship.
and it's-
Now I'm facing death. Do something about it.
It's
Yeah.
all the time. We get the instant messages every day. I have this problem. They're talking about the demons. They're naming the demons. They're talking
Yeah.
about Satan. But why aren't you talking about Jesus?
Yeah.
You're coming to a Catholic priest. You don't even acknowledge
No.
Jesus. So it's like, it's kind of hard to really help you
Yeah.
when
'cause
you're not
to-
even
to
there yet.
To refocus somebody is, yeah.
And see,
I mean,
I
it's
think
not
we do
magic.
that-
It's
I
not
think we
magic.
do that with the government. Oh, I've made bad decisions my whole life, or I didn't get the right cards dealt to me, so somebody needs to fix it for me.
Yeah.
Government,
Yeah, yeah.
fix me.
Yeah.
Well, the government becomes God.
Right.
They want to be God.
Becomes God and
yeah.
becomes
They
a parent.
they work
they're
very hard
happy
to
with- they're happy
be
with
seen
it.
that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but now, I mean, back to the question. I don't know. I mean, that sounds like a far-fetched thing. Although I will say, when I saw Nancy Pelosi kind of go up with this little,
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was
it looked
so
like
weird.
it looked like a freaking insectoid.
Yeah.
You
That's
know.
what I don't know what that was either.
what
That,
that
that look
was.
on her face,
It
I'm
does,
like,
it does
"Ooh."
feed it, doesn't
Oh
it?
my God! It's like, are all these politicians just like aliens inside like human meat suits?
Well, some people believe they're lizards, so
I'm telling
I
you.
mean, I don't-
That looked weird.
it was a little
Well,
I
it
mean,
definitely showed a disconnect, if nothing else.
I mean, if
I
nothing
mean,
else.
there is kind of a little habitual thing that some chicks do with your acrylic nails. Well, they'll do this, but this.
But it was.
I don't know what that was.
It was this little number,
Right.
and then she slowly rose, and it's like, what are you doing?
Is she a mantis?
I mean, what the hell was that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you?
I
see
think-
it was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think what it was that he was hitting keywords that was supposed to launch into
and she was
a pre-prepared
and she got-
speech.
she was
She was
convincing the crowd.
preparing to be able to stand up and in a standing ovation to clap, and he didn't hit
And
the,
so she
the
kind
right.
of like this way, you
And
know,
he didn't hit
I
the
mean,
right
that's-
part.
That's probably
That's
it.
what I'm thinking happened.
All I know is it
She
looked pretty
anticipated
awkward.
something coming that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, it was
And
something else.
and it was an excited like, oh, I can't wait to clap, I can't wait to clap,
be
and
it.
then there was nothing to
I
clap
can
for.
accept that.
That's what I think happened.
I can accept that, but it doesn't help the
That's the
conspiracy.
benign answer.
Yeah, it doesn't help the
No,
conspiracy.
it doesn't. Yeah.
You know. So step 4,
Okay.
might as well go through the whole thing.
Yeah, why not?
Universal supernatural manifestations using electronic means. Ugh.
They're really into that. The
The
Yeah.
final
telepathy
step of
and-
Project Bluebeam is to create a chaotic event that will leave people willing or desperate enough to accept the New World Order. Mr. Banas said this could occur with up to 3 different orientations. Okay, here's where I've heard one of them. One is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to strike down on Earth in a major city. The second is to make Christians believe there's a major rapture with a supposedly divine intervention of an alleged good alien force coming to save the people from a brutal satanic attack.
You wouldn't
The
convince this Christian of that.
No.
No,
No, but I know
you
a lot of evangelicals that might get on board with
Well,
that.
they believe in the rapture and we don't.
right. The third
But led by a
orientation-
good alien race?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, why not? It'll be the elven looking aliens. You know, they'll come down looking all majestic.
The pretty
like
ones?
You're talking about the
the pretty ones from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's
the
Nordics.
Nordics. The Nordics.
The Nordics. Yeah.
The third orientation in the 4th step is a mixture of electronic and supernatural forces. The goal of
Mort.
this one deals with global satanic ghosts all around the world in order to push all population on an edge to drown in a wave of suicide, killing, and permanent psychological disorder. Well, that one's actually pretty much going on. You have all the upticks in family-on-family murders, people committing heinous crimes, cutting the heads off of people, and
Drowning
then
their children?
drowning their own children. Here in Atlanta, we had a woman kill 2 out of 4 of her kids and then set the house on fire.
Yeah.
And I put the picture on the Mighty Network. You could see in her eyes were just gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've talked to people who have committed heinous acts before I retired. And they'll tell you, I blacked out. I don't remember. And they're dead serious.
Yeah.
And they usually have something in their background, traumatic, going on.
Yeah.
And they've fallen away. And I think they're susceptible to stuff. But yeah, there is a wave going on of human depravity.
I mean, there's no question there's some truth to the...
Right. Now,
Well,
as far
otherwise
as
no one would read it.
as far as the good aliens coming to save us, I don't know if that's going to happen.
That's where it's going a little off the deep end. NASA, I don't see NASA as having that kind of power.
NASA's barely
Or will.
hanging on.
Or ever will.
Right.
Or the
Or will.
desire.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the volition to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
I think they're a group of geeks, mainly.
If even.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
they're kind of pointless now.
So yeah,
Yeah.
to answer her,
when they
question,
lost the
I-
space shuttle, they became irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean-
and when private industry said, I'll do it.
Yeah, and do it better.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff we got today makes the space shuttle look like ancient technology.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I mean, look at what Musk has. Look at what the Amazon, is it Amazon?
Yeah. Bezos.
Yeah, Bezos, yeah.
so that's Project Bluebeam. It's pretty out there. I would have to defer to
Well, I will say this. I can't speak to all of that stuff because that seems a bit speculative. But I will say that I have, and I've talked on this about this.
Someone said Elon Musk.
I've talked about this on Vestiges, and with guests that are into the UFO stuff and the aliens, which is why sometimes we do, like, I try to have at least a couple shows a season that deals with that, because it is a kind of subset of this paranormal genre that I guess has some substance to explore. But I will say that we've all noticed, those of us that do pay attention to these things, that there is a sort of shift in public perception of the idea of alien visitation, abduction, where before it used to be like, oh, those are the nutters talking about this. Now the government recognizing that, look, we're talking about this at the congressional level.
Yeah, like, we don't know what the hell it is.
We got professors talking about how there's a galactic federation.
Former Canadian ministry
Yes,
guy.
Minister of Defense.
That. Yeah. Said,
that's pretty
there's a
wild
federation, yeah.
for people in those positions.
One from Israel, same thing.
Yes, people in those positions to be talking about things like a galactic federation of alien races that are protecting the Earth and
all of a sudden, we get a Space Force pulled out of somebody's butt.
Yes.
It's like,
so
what the hell?
Is there not something going on that's weird like that?
It makes you wonder.
There is.
Yeah.
There's no question something weird going on. I don't think it's that.
I don't either.
But, and I don't necessarily...
Maybe a small little nugget.
Well, you know my theory
on each of it?
You know what my theory is on conspiracy theory. I think conspiracy theories are written by the people that are trying to push the truth, but doing so in a way...
They lean heavy into it, that way you don't look too close. Yeah.
So yet you're like, oh, that's such bullshit.
Well, that's the Men in Black thing, isn't it?
It is the Men in Black.
Let's go and see the news. It's all the crazy...
It is.
Tabloids,
truth there, but hidden under layers of fabrication, so it looks like bogus, but yet it's there if you know how to dig for it. We've seen this with the pedophile cults of Hollywood. That's also conspiracy theory. The Pizzagate.
Yeah. Boy, you
but I can tell you right now. Okay, now I'm not saying Pizzagate's a real thing.
We're at the hour-and-a-half mark, just so you know.
All right. I know Tracy's arm is tight. She didn't want me to go get the tripod, but she said, "Let's just do an hour and a half tonight." So
and I'm tired anyway.
I'm flaking.
Yeah. But I will say that being in the exorcism field, we get cases from every walk of life. And a lot of times we do get referrals from local psychologists.
Yeah, professionals, yeah.
Professionals. People, licensed professionals. Yep. Okay, and they have said, I have a client who grew up with an A-list celebrity family, was adopted into an A-list celebrity family, and they were basically sexually abused through their childhood in a satanic ritual cult, and that they have seen what can only be described as a demonic event that they don't feel qualified as a psychologist to deal with, and that they thought that maybe the church might be able to help this client.
Yeah.
So they called up. This has happened on more than one occasion. I'm just referring to one case that's more recent. But this has happened on more than one occasion. Similar things like this that all come back to some kind of elitist, pedophilia, satanic thing related to Hollywood, which is what this Pizzagate thing is somewhat a conspiracy theory of, but exaggerated again under layers of fabrication to hide maybe a general truth that has been so prolific that I can't deny that there is some shit going on that's relating to this.
Just look up spirit cooking.
The spirit cooking thing is really bizarre.
Really bizarre.
And then you got the guy that killed himself in prison there.
Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah. and his weird girlfriend there.
Yeah.
You know,
Who's the daughter of Robert Maxwell?
They don't mention that.
Who grew up in Oxford.
Yeah.
In a council flat actually, and ended up this multi-millionaire, and owned the newspapers and all the rest of it. And then,
They had that connection over there.
and then disappeared off the side of a boat when the taxman started calling.
my feeling is this. This is only, again, I'm giving an educated speculation here. I could be way off. I don't know, because I don't have the facts to be able to validate it. Or
It's cigar talk.
It's cigar talk.
Yeah, we can.
But I will say that my instinct, my gut is telling me that there is absolutely a pervasive, satanic, elitist organization that many high-level celebrities are a part
And
of.
it wouldn't be a dreadful shock, would it?
It
Like,
wouldn't.
I mean, people invent these kind of societies throughout history, and so it wouldn't surprise you that, they all seem to centre on LA and that kind of, clique.
This is nothing new. They've been talking about this and doing exposés and documentaries since, at least I know of, since the early 80s.
Yeah.
So
I will say,
there's something going on. I don't know exactly what it is. But
my
I
experience...
think it's probably very banal, profane, ordinary human evil.
My experience,
Yeah.
and it could very well be just that simple. My experience with dealing with...
But they have big influence.
They do.
Yeah.
And my experience with dealing with the celebrities that I know, I can't say that there's one that's comfortable around me. Not one.
I don't think many of them are normal enough. Apart from anything else, apart from anything spiritual.
Yeah.
We kind of know the celebrities that stay normal. They stand out.
They do.
We were talking about Ricky Gervais on the way out.
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
He's normal.
Keanu Reeves.
And that's why.
And they stay away from the
and he called them all out at the Golden Globes. I mean, his cards are on the table.
Yeah.
I think that's why ordinary people still like him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of uncancelable.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wouldn't like to be described as a prophet, but he might be.
I mean, there is absolutely, just as there are organizations of light, there's organizations of darkness.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
And I think that, wealth and status lend itself
They're
to that
dangerous.
darkness. They're dangerous.
Well, boy, I was really hoping we'd get that local case. But, I tried to follow up on it, and
Oh, they go silent. See, that's the weird thing about all these pedophile cases that we get.
the
As soon
psychologist...
as we start, actively, we always take those seriously. When someone comes to us with that, we take it seriously. As soon as we get involved, it's like crickets.
spoke to a psychologist, verified her work, her office, where her office
Her
was.
license, everything.
Her license, everything. Legit. Call her back, let her know what I do for a living at the time. I was still policing, and I said, look, have your client bring her in and see if she's willing to talk to me. I will keep it low-key. It'll be anonymous, but if she wants to move forward, I have the resources to help her. I'll let her know. Next thing you know, she's saying the client ghosted, and then the psychologist ghosted. So
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
There was
yeah.
another case that came in. I'll end with this one. There was another case that came in before Jamie was with us, and I had wished she had been, because it would have been so nice to
you
have
told
an
me about it
active
when I
in.
did come on board, but everything was so stale.
It was too stale.
Yeah.
There was a case out in Stone Mountain, which is the east part of Metro Atlanta, the opposite side of this one.
Yeah.
And the guy reported that there was a pedophile cult that was operating out of a property that was adjacent to his, and that they were sacrificing children and literally incinerating the remains so that there would be absolutely no evidence, and that all of these unexplained missing children, which is statistically a lot more than you think, kids that disappear off the face of the earth, never to be seen or heard from again. No one knows what happens to them. That's more common than finding the body or recovering them.
Yeah.
That they just go missing and no one knows what happens and the case just goes stale. And he was saying that he had proof and evidence and he needed us to come in because he didn't feel that law enforcement could handle what's going on there because they have demons posted at the property line that's not letting anyone in.
Sounds way out there, doesn't it?
It was so way out there. And we said, look, this is not a case for the church. You need to call the FBI or something. You think something like this going on. But if we had had a law enforcement representative on our team at the time, like Jamie, we would have probably pursued it more seriously.
Yeah.
Because we would have been able to work both sides. But we kept the guy's contact. And when Jamie came on, we said, now that you're with us, let's reopen this case. We could not get this guy back. We could not find him. We could not reach him. Nothing.
And again, while you hear the intake form and kind of the outlandish information the person puts in there, you got to at least take the possibility that at the very least children may be being trafficked.
Yeah.
And when the part about the incinerating the babies reminded me of a documentary that was done in the UK back in the 90s. And I believe it was Dateline that did it.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was pervasive satanic cult with the upper echelons, the elites, and what they were doing. And they had rescued a girl from there, and she was being interviewed. And I've studied neurolinguistics. I can usually tell when someone's lying or making something up. This girl was still terrified to talk about it.
Well, you want to know what really bothered me? You got me into Newkirk's Hellier. And they had an episode that had a guy that out of nowhere, they're just investigating these little like dwarf aliens and stuff out of caves.
I don't think they're expecting.
And out of nowhere, this guy comes out
and
almost word for word describes what this guy reported to us in Stone Mountain.
And in the documentary from the 90s, the victim was saying they incinerate the bodies so there's no evidence.
Yeah.
And the children they do decide to keep, they will raise them as their own child until they're of childbearing age, impregnate them, and then they'll use the babies. Because there's no birth certificate.
No,
right.
How can you be missing if you were never born?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very, it's disturbing as hell.
But there's a truth
you have to wonder what's really going on, because something's going on. Something's going on. What it is, we really don't know.
We don't know. And anytime you try to go too far into it, you
hit a brick wall.
A dead end, and you can't pursue it further.
Yeah, and there's no complainant, and there's people that exist.
But these cases come in more frequently than I've even talked about. And the reason that we don't really have much information is because they go dead.
Yeah.
That you start them and then the people go missing. And then you never hear from them. The phone lines go
It almost reminds
dead.
you of Scientology, where if you speak out against the church like Leah Remini, once you start to speak out and tell the truth, they will silence you one way or another. And so it's creepy. I just know I'd love to get my hands around some of them people.
Oh, yeah.
But who knows?
Well, I pity anybody that lets us pursue this further because they're not going to like the result.
Yeah, they're not going to scare me off.
No.
I can tell you that right now.
That is a genre. We get 3 genres of cases that come in, I would say. There's the standard demonic. The typical things that you see on Ghost Adventures, that's the primary. And that's the ones we typically handle because that's the ones that's appropriate to the church. That's what we're equipped for. The second one, alien abduction cases.
Yeah.
You get a lot of those. People that report that there's a grace that are taking them out of their beds at night and bringing them up into spacecraft, and there are all sorts of sexual experiments being done, them being put in their bed. And because in the South in particular, here in the U.S., it's common for evangelical churches and Southern churches to kind of teach that aliens are demons.
Right.
And that these alien abductions are really demonic things.
Because that would be the question, why are, and it might simply be that there are and we don't know, why aren't these reports being made by Ethiopians? Why aren't they being made by people in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Because
Jeez, that scared me.
What did you do? Oh.
Flash my bottle.
they do tend to follow.
So on
narratives.
edge.
Scared me too. I'm like,
They tend to follow narratives, some of which we've spoken about, like Star Trek things.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, it's.
So we had one guy that was very wealthy. He was a multi-millionaire that wanted us to come and help him with this thing this alien abduction experience that he's been having his entire life since childhood, his earliest memories, and it still happens to this day. And he's like a very successful adult who makes like millions of dollars a year. And again, I don't remember exactly how that ended, but that reached a dead end too. So one, the traditional demonic cases like you see on Ghost Adventures. The second is the alien abduction, and the third is this pedophile cult thing.
Yeah.
Those are the three cases the three genres of cases we get.
That's interesting.
And the last two are more common than you think. Mm-hmm. And it's led me to think, okay, it's too frequent to say it's all hogwash.
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on here, but I couldn't tell you what those things are because I can't get far enough into them to get answers. I don't know. And we've tried. It's not like we run from it. I mean, honestly, when I'm being told that children are being hurt, I mean, I tell Amy.
Oh, yeah.
I told Jamie, get this case.
Yeah.
Call them today. Get the case on the books, and let's deal with it. And then she can't.
No.
Because they don't reach her, then call back. She'll call a phone line. The phone line's no longer in operation. It just, they go cold. Every single time. Whether it be the alien ones or the pedophile cult ones. The only ones that follow through, standard demonic.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where we tend to get, we go to the houses and we do what we can.
Yeah, well, the latter two are kind of, they're in that space between, aren't they? That space between sort of...
The liminal space.
Yeah, the governmental investigative, police, that sort of thing, and the sort of esoteric. They're in that gap.
I once got a call, the church once got a call that came in on a voice message was left on the church line at 3 o'clock in the morning. This was also before Jamie had joined the
yeah,
church.
but I got to listen to it, and
I
it's
played
there.
it.
It's there.
And it was about a 10-minute voice message.
Yeah.
And all it is static and a clicking noise. You have click, click, and it goes on for several minutes.
Yeah.
And then maybe about the 6 or 7 minute mark, you hear what sounds like a woman screaming at the top of her lungs, like ah! And then it's click, 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 static, 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 click, click, click. I traced the line to see where the line was coming from. I did a reverse check on it, and it came from one of the northern parts of the northern provinces of Canada, practically at the Arctic level. It was this little town, isolated. I think you can only fly into it, because I don't even think there's roads that get out there.
Yeah.
What the hell was that? I have no idea. And again, when I tried calling the number back, the line was no longer connected. Weird shit. We get this from time to time.
And I've seen through different documentaries and some paranormal shows, just through the years, I can't specifically state one, but that is a occurrence that's happened with the demonic manipulating electronic devices, and there'll be a strange clicking, almost like Morse code.
Yes.
And then it'll be followed by a scream or a growl.
Yeah.
And it'll be to a disconnected number.
Yes.
So that's not unheard of.
But I played that message for Jamie.
It was creepy as hell. It got the hairs in my hackles up.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, these are the unexplained cases that we get from time to time. That
But how do you follow
how
it
do you
up?
follow up?
You can't.
Just I followed under what the fuck?
Well, what are you going to do? Call the Canadian police?
Right.
You know, like,
Hey guys, listen to this shit.
Yeah,
You know, it's like-
But I mean, it was just weird, And so all of that leads me to think yeah, there is something going on that is not normal. I would argue that what we think life is not. That's the timer for the light.
Sounds good to me.
What we do think is normal is not. I don't think life is what we think it is, and I do think that there is more demonic control here than we can even possibly imagine.
Well, and that's
realm.
perfectly scriptural.
It is.
Yeah,
The devil's the prince of this world.
right.
And-
We're in their world.
And what's the implication of that?
Yeah,
Can't be good, right?
yeah.
And
He offers Jesus all the kingdoms.
yeah. And why? How
He's
could
already
he
the
have done
king.
that? How could he have done that
Yeah.
if they weren't his to begin
Exactly.
with? Which tells you all you need to know about government and politics.
Yeah.
Because who really runs the show? Not God.
No.
He's not running these governments.
But it never has been.
No.
Not since Eden.
Right.
You know, it's, yeah.
So that's a little
Thank you.
mystery for you tonight.
Right. So, Cassandra, sorry we didn't get to your question, but if you go to the Nicolayan Network, I put the link in the comments. Hopefully it'll work.
Was it a
We-
long
we-
question?
We could pick it up
Yes.
in the yeah, it's kind of involved.
Tracy's arm can't handle
We'll
it.
pick it up. We'll pick it up. My eyes can handle them.
I'm dropping off. I'm
Father
pick it up
Chris,
on-
Father Chris is waning. I
Yeah,
can
We'll,
see
we'll pick
it.
it up as a discussion on the network if you can go there.
Maybe on the
and
next
join us.
podcast.
Right. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Us, watching us drink, smoke cigars, and
Yeah, it's
talk
been
about,
hell.
talk about pretty much everything.
Absolutely torture.
I
Right.
bet you're sorry you came, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are gonna sleep like a baby.
I will
tonight,
sleep
bet.
very well
I think I am too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you've got a good 20 pounds of beef in you right
I
now,
know.
so you're okay.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat for the next couple of weeks.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. At one meal a day, you got 3 in 1, so it should be good.
You had a mountain at one point.
Yeah.
When
Got
all
through
the
it.
food came at the same time.
I
you
was
got-
almost embarrassed.
Yeah.
I wanted to elbow and say,
Yeah.
Chris,
I,
catch up,
You
catch
do
up,
know
man.
you can
Get your
turn the
plate.
card from green to red.
I did eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
If you
that-
don't, they'll hawk you.
I got through that mountain.
Yeah.
You
I
did.
got,
Sure
you know,
did.
I mean, I was impressed.
yeah, yeah. Torts and hair.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, papaya and whiskey
Yeah,
fixes
yeah.
it all.
That's right.
Everyone's saying safe travels.
Thank you. And 10 hours sleep will help as well.
It does.
Yeah, well,
So we'll continue this discussion on our first episode of Vestiges when we return, and I'm sure Father Chris will be back on Zoom,
I'll be around.
but you'll be here virtually if nothing else.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then we'll just have to get you some kind of citizenship so that
I
you
know.
don't have to go home.
get your
I know.
third
That's right.
passport.
Make this.
Yeah,
up.
3 passports. Yeah, why not?
I mean, I got 18 acres. I'm sure we can find a place for you here.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Take
All right,
care,
everybody,
God.
have a good night.
God
God
bless.
bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.